Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the WCW Saturday Night Review series, which we're coming back to after a little while. May 16th, 1992 is the episode for today. Bit of a shortened version, so I assume there's a baseball game or something else going on that day. They do have Teddy Long out there. He's talking about his work with at risk youth, which is kind of cool. They are hyping a Johnny B. Bad and. Scotty Flamingo match for later in the program, which the light heavyweight division 1992 is actually when I first saw guys like Great Muta and I'm trying to think, Jushin Liger, I think. Didn't get cable in my house until summer of 92, somewhere between June and August of 92. I know we had it by SummerSlam of 92 because that was the first pay-per-view that I didn't have to go to my grandparents for. Anyway, and so, that's kind of there. And, Long talks about different sports stars from Atlanta franchises trying to bring about good things. Bill Watts takes over within the next couple of months. And I enjoyed the Bill Watts era for what it is and what it's worth. I know a lot of people don't, but I did. Then we move to an enhancement talent match. Harley Race is here with the Super Invader, which is, of course, Hercules Hernandez. Hernandez, who had left the WWE a couple of months before. Keno Weston and Ian Harrison or something like that, in a 2-on-1 deal there. And Hercules, who is wearing almost a sock over his head and doing a martial arts gimmick. I do not understand this. I also do not understand Harley Race being the manager. Maybe they wanted him to have instant credibility or something. I'm not really sure what the deal was, but a back leg kick and other various things are pretty intense. Hercules is obviously not a martial artist, so him doing back kicks and other crazy things there just doesn't make sense to my brain. But anyway, he goes after his opponents pretty quickly. Harley Race actually throws one in as Super Invader, which is the name he was using at the time. Throws one out, almost like a modified Yoshi Kwan type gimmick. The months before it happens, he does end up hitting a power bomb as a finish, which is ironic because he kicked out of a power bomb from Sid Vicious in his final MSG match a little bit before. Double pin, and there we go. Flying Brian Pillman talks about his upcoming match with the Z-Man in the upcoming pay-per-view. Then we go to Larry Zbyszko and Arn Anderson in an enhancement match, Dangerous Alliance. This is a couple of weeks before the WCW Wrestle War show. Nikita Koloff and Ricky Steamboat are the opponents of the day. Good match here. Steamboat and Koloff are both baby faces. Koloff only back since Super Bowl in February, so he's relatively new back here. Him back as a baby face is a pretty big deal at the time, although his alliance, no pun intended, with his teammates is kind of in question. Love this tag match. Arn Anderson at the time. I love Arn Anderson anyway, but Arn Anderson 92 through 94, probably my favorite time of his. Well, I haven't seen enough of 90 and 90 and 91, but I might have enjoyed those years too. Arn in the Monday Night Wars, 2 years of the Monday Night Wars. Really not a guy that I think they focused on enough. I wish they had done more with him, but they didn't. Anyway, Larry Zbyszko and Arn Anderson, Koloff, and Steamboat, a big deal. They do the inside-out spot or the outside-in spot. Anderson goes to work on Steamboat. All of his offense looks amazingly crisp, and they work over Steamboat for the next several minutes. Zbyszko is animated on the outside, but doesn't do a heck of a lot. Speaking of animated on the outside, Paulie Dangerously, a.k.a. Paul Heyman, is as well. Odd to think that 30 years later he's still in the business making mischief. And as I tape this is night 2 of WrestleMania 37, so Just putting that in context. Anyway, drop kick off the top rope to the outside by Steamboat on Anderson. Anderson goes crumpling to the floor relatively aggressively there, and then we go back into the ring. Anderson takes a good bit of punishment. Finally, the cutoff and Koloff comes into the ring. Koloff works over the arm of Larry Zbyszko. Zbyszko, who I enjoy so much more now as a near 40-year-old person than I did at the time when I was watching this, as a kid. Larry Zbyszko so much, and a lot of people don't like his stalling style. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's smart. But I'd rather see a story of a match where the moves fit together and also everybody stays safe than I would want to see a lot of flips and flops and floops. So that's just me. Anyway, Irish whip and the duck of the head by Zbyszko. Zbyszko goes back, tags Anderson. Zbyszko doesn't stay in there very long, and that's one thing about Larry. Larry will work a long match here and there. I think there's one with Big Josh that was a pretty good length for a while, but doesn't go according to plan. Anyway, the entire Dangerous Alliance does attack on Koloff and Steamboat. Post match, they do win the match, and Bobby Eaton comes down to part of things there in the post match beatdown, which I suppose makes sense. They plug some local house shows as would be done, and then we kind of see a head to head sit down interview with Z Man Tom Zink and Brian Pillman. They're former partners. There's talk that Pillman has some issues with his back. Zink says the light heavyweight championship's on the line. Of course, he's going to go after the back of Pillman if needed. Zink at the time kind of fading a little bit. Then we go to a WCW magazine segment, which is basically the equivalent of the update version of things in the WWF at the time. And Stinger Squadron, Dangerous Alliance, 5-on-5. War Games match is headlining Wrestle War 92, one of my favorite pay-per-views from WCW at the time. 92 is my favorite all-time year of WCW. I know a lot of people look at that and think weird, but 93 right behind it, and I love 94 till Hogan comes in, and then my interest in WCW waned except for the undercard, so that's just me. Anyway, Rhodes, Wyndham, Sting, and Steamboat are here. Koloff is not here cutting the promo, so I don't know if the promo was cut before. Steamboat's still wearing tape over his nose because his nose has been broken by Rick Rude and the Dangerous Alliance in the weeks before, so some storyline continuity stuff there. They promised to win at the Dangerous Alliance deal. Then there is a kind of a backstage interview, a woman being propositioned to claim that she'd cheated with Ricky Steamboat, says it's going to cost more money. Steamboat there, Dallas Page says he has information about this and pulls him away. Then there's a bit of a plug for more stuff. Brian Pillman in commentary, looking back at it, was not bad at all. JT Southern alongside Scotty Flamingo, a.k.a. the man who would later be known as Raven, moves into the next match, or the main event match, actually, with Johnny B. Bad. We kind of go through that process a little bit. Really, actually, a good match. I actually prefer the Flamingo character over Raven. I actually want to see some of his Portland stuff. I'll eventually look for Portland and see if there's anything of Scott Levy there. But I've always been kind of the more flamboyant, heelish gimmicks as opposed to the sullen, depressive ones. That's just me. Again, the light heavyweight championship, a big deal. At this point, I think it was either June or July, that Raven, a.k.a. Scotty Flamingo in this incarnation, picks that championship up. Really basic match. Bad is not at a place where he is ready to do the level of work they have him doing. He's maybe a year at most into his career. He cranks on a headlock, stays on the headlock for the next several minutes, works over the arm into a head scissors takeover. Then they do the roll spot where they work the headlock, roll onto the shoulders, actually go out to the floor and continue the same basic sequence of spots on the floor, which is ironic. What's amazing to me is that that's at this point in 1992, headlock spots that go on for several minutes, a big deal. Whereas now you wouldn't even get people to sit through that. But again, when we live in an instant gratification culture where everyone is, what about me? What about me? What about me? My attention. You're not going to get psychology making a lot of sense, and I think that's where people do struggle is the realization of telling wrestling stories is harder, not because it can't be done, but because people's attention spans have gotten shorter. And so that's an issue in and of itself that I don't think promoters and wrestlers addressed enough. Then Bad goes back to the hammerlock. There's quite a few brawling, and we see Flamingo, aka Raven, kind of going at him. They actually do a bit of a standing boxing thing into a snapmare, and then Flamingo kind of slows the match down again. Lots of good stuff here in the sense of, we kind of go through it, and it's aggressive, it's assertive, but it's slowly paced, and they're given time to actually work. Now matches are 2, 3, 4 minutes, maybe if you're lucky 6 minutes on TV, and you just do spots, and it's foolishness, and it's a waste of time and energy, and lots of extra unneeded risk. First fall of the match is won by Bad, who manages to get a top rope sunset flip. I had forgotten that at that time that was one of his main finishes. We go into, I believe, the second fall, back to the headlock, back to basics. So you've seen a really good move, and then you go back to simplicity. They go back to the headlock, and Raven, aka Scotty Flamingo, kind of slowing the match down. Punch kick, real basic stuff. And then there's, he spends the next several minutes trying to get heat. The challenge is he cannot hold the man down for very long. So what you end up seeing is a lot of, back and forth in terms of the intentions of everybody. JT Southern on the outside is a deal that I don't really understand. Again, I've only had access to the WCW stuff starting with the Saturday night actually the first show in April. So I don't know if they have a long-term relationship. I don't know if this was developed on another program. Announcers, Jim Ross didn't do as good a job as he could have with kind of telling the story of why he's there. Shot into the buckle with a double down by Bad, and again we kind of see the match go again. But when you're looking at it, to see a match go 15-20 minutes, and they don't really need to do flips to the outside of the ring or any of that goofy stuff. It's really interesting. And then Bad uses the tune-up. Of course, Johnny B. Bad, a.k.a. Mark Barrow, having the Golden Gloves boxing level stuff. Raven does amazing selling of that. Flips him into the corner and kind of gets more going there. And then, an Irish whip, reversal, up by one fall, and a power slam. The power slam comes out of nowhere, and it does almost give us a win for Johnny B. Bad, and doesn't come together fully. And into a back elbow, real simple stuff. What I love in the back elbow and the simple stuff is the body language and selling that is absent in today's wrestling. Although I will say Flamingo's punches here are abysmally bad. And then we kind of see JT Southern hit Johnny B. Bad with his guitar and give him a pinfall there, and that kind of goes from there, and ultimately we go back to there must have been a third fall there somewhere that I missed, because that is a win for Scotty Flamingo. And then one final promo, For the pay-per-view, Stinger Squadron getting ready for Wrestle War, and then kind of the square off with Zinc and Pillman. They almost do battle at the close of the program. Zinc doesn't want to wait. Let's go, and there we go, and we close the show. Interesting that they do a show closing segment with the light heavyweights. Maybe the division was meant to be more in eventuality, but that's that. Hopefully you enjoy. We'll be back with more right after this.